Okay, welcome to another episode of On the Wrist from Off the Cuff. Today we are actually revisiting Tropic rubber straps, the actual brand. And honestly, they are just so good. I have to talk about them again. Yes, they're that good. I actually loved my pairing so much with my SPB317 that you can see below, the Slim Turtle, that when I picked up the SPB333 limited edition Slim Turtle above with that, you can see that beautiful glacier dial. I had to call in, email anyway, to Tropic and find out if I was to purchase their anthracite gray strap, if it would have the rolled edge like I found on my 20mm black strap. And the answer is yes. And for those of you that have been interested in Tropic straps, that is another reason why I figured this was worthy of another episode, because I was actually able to confirm with the brand that if you purchase any of their new stock and new inventory, they will actually have the rolled edge when it comes to those 20mm. The 22mm always had the rolled edge, or at least it's had it for a while, but it is something new for the 20mm, which fits these Slim Turtle cases perfectly. So they were actually so thankful when they followed the links in my email signature that to be featured, that they actually sent over this orange rubber Tropic strap, which now we can kind of use to take a very, very close look and really scrutinize just how good the finishing and fit and everything is on this piece. So with that said, let's go ahead, zoom the camera out, get these pieces in hand, and take a closer look. Okay, guys, so here is the case that this comes in, the box, if you guys have ever purchased one. Very classic. You can see, of course, the kind of drawing there, and then, hey, it is completely waterproof. Yes, made in Italy. Cool, comfortable, rugged, good looking, all that. And then you can also see, they do have a little bit of verbiage about, hey, that it is the ultimate upgrade for your vintage or modern dive watch. It does have that 1960s original retro design, but it has been improved. They have actually made it an even better formula because it is softer, more comfortable, and durable. And then, of course, designed in Switzerland and manufactured and tested in Italy. So this is a really nice little setup. Nothing crazy, nothing luxurious about it, but what's inside is actually something really next level. When you take a look at this piece, I challenge you to really take a very close look. The level of finishing on the fineness of this actual, this tapestry texture that is iconically on these Tropic straps is done really so fine. It almost looks like a printed texture. Like, that is how good it is, and you can see the way that it plays with the light, so it creates a lot of dimension. And then, of course, it has the beautiful border here, the nice rolled edge, something new from their newer inventory. So if you do want this newer rolled edge, you know where to look. And then, of course, that will eventually filter out to resellers. And then you take a look at this beautiful brushed buckle there. Really fantastic, nicely signed, even signed underneath. With the Tropic, you're getting brushed, you're getting those high polished bevels, nice clean sharp transitions between the nice brushing and the high polished finish. And you can see very clean in terms of the coloration there. Nothing spotty, splotchy. Everything is just beautifully pigmented. And then even when you get down into, of course, this does come out of a mold, so there are going to be very slight mold lines, but look at how tidy those are. They're very, very clean by comparison to some of the Tropic style straps that you're going to see on the market today. You can see very faint there. But again, that's when you're really, really looking for it. So it really comes together nicely, and you can see, of course, it does have the thicker end here that does taper down into a thinner piece. So you're going to have it more pliable here while you have more structure closer to the watch case in terms of securing the watch head on your wrist, which is great. And then it also does have a nice taper from 20 millimeters down to 16 millimeters down on the buckle end. So it's going to have, in terms of that beautiful vintage aesthetic, as well as it's going to be very, movable and great on the wrist because of that refined taper. So that is not just looking nice, but also wearing nice and very function forward. And that's another reason why these are actually quite a bit longer than some of the other Tropic style straps that are on the market, because this is really meant to be worn and, to be okay to put over any type of extra gear. I think it has a beautiful skin diver aesthetic, so not necessarily to be paired with a wetsuit, but it actually does give you enough length here to where you could. Even me with a larger wrist, I still do end up getting a lot of extra tongue, which is nice, so that I know that if I ever were to need a wetsuit, I can absolutely take a watch with one of these straps into the water. It does have an 85 millimeter length on the buckle side, and then on the long tail side, it's 125 millimeters. So very nice. And then if you had the larger version, let's say like this, like the 22 millimeter, which has, pretty much had this rolled edge forever, or at least for a longer time frame as an option, it still tapers down nicely in a gradual way, but it goes from 22 down to 18 millimeters at the buckle. So very, very nice. And you can see this thing is just really, really clean. So I do appreciate Tropic for sending this in and kind of sparking this conversation again. And let's get to these two right here. So we have, of course, the SPB317 and the SPB333. These are both within that Slim Turtle line, which are, I guess you could call them a reimaginings of the original 6105 8000 series, which predates the Willard. So you can see this doesn't have that asymmetrical case. This has, but this really is their first foray into some very much the hallmarks of Seiko design. You're getting, of course, that cushion case. You're getting the fully graduated bezel insert. You have the split indices at 12. It's just a really handsome look. Of course, this being more classic, but here, this one is actually, I'd say, very versatile depending on what you wear, because it's shades of gray and silver with just a pop of blue. So for me, as somebody who predominantly wears a lot of blue, this actually is very, very wearable as well. Although, of course, nothing is going to beat black in terms of versatility. But I do find both of them quite versatile, and you can see the anthracite color match is fantastic with the bezel insert on this limited edition. If you are interested in the full review, definitely check my channel history for that. I'll try to leave a link somewhere, maybe towards the end of the video, if you are interested in learning more about this particular dial. But you can see it does have that beautiful kind of glacier style dial, a very pale silver, which it draws some comparisons to the Grand Seiko white birch dial, which obviously is going to have a much thicker and more intricate dial pattern. But in terms of just the color tone, it's really, really quite beautiful. And again, this anthracite bezel insert flows beautifully with the anthracite strap. And also something to get nice side by side is to see the difference, right? Because you might not want the anthracite to match perfectly with this watch, but maybe you just have something that has a more of a ghosted bezel. It's, truly vintage, or maybe a blue setup and you don't want it to be blue on blue. I think the anthracite would look really great, and can be a nice middle ground. They also do have some other colorway options. So of course you guys saw orange was also available, but there is also a brown option, a light gray, so a lighter gray and a more traditional gray than the one you see here with the anthracite, where it does have, I would say, some kind of, I guess, like a blue slate, almost admiralty gray kind of blue tone to it, depending on the lighting. I'd say it's definitely an undertone. It's clearly a gray strap, but in terms of some of the other hints you're going to pick up. But there's also a NATO green, which looks really fantastic. A navy blue, of course, very classic. Orange, which you saw. Poseidon yellow, and then also a royal blue option. So 2 different blues and 2 different grays, which I think is great. These go for $79, kind of full MSRP, and they're really nice. Hypoallergenic, tear resistance, immune to extreme heat and cold, and then they are available in both 20 and 22 millimeter lug widths. So, very nice updates recently with the buckles as well as the rolled edge, and I did want to kind of share that with you and just point these out and kind of just highlight how wonderful these watches wear. So with that said, let's actually just pop it on the wrist here, and since this is a strap video, I'll demo it for you versus doing it kind of off camera. So we'll go ahead, take that, loop it through, and you can see even on my 7.5-inch wrist, I still do have a nice fair amount of tail left, but not enough to where it's sticking out of the other end, which is perfect for me. But for those of you that may have a smaller wrist, you may be wanting something with a little less extra. But again, this is really meant for form and functionality versus just focusing on recreating the look. This is something that absolutely does, it does the job, it performs while also looking the part, which is great. But first and foremost, it's a very functional piece that wears extremely well, so comfortable. I haven't tried really any other strap that is this comfortable. This is the king of comfort on my wrist, honestly. And if they made some other types of straps that matched dress watches, I would probably have some compound of vulcanized rubber from Tropic also on a dress watch, because that's how comfortable this is. I mean, typically also, you guys know, if you're a fan of the channel, that I'm a big bracelet guy. I love watches on bracelets, especially my divers, because typically they'll have some really cool and unique trick clasps and everything. So it's really nice to take advantage of those types of features. But when you can dial in a fit like this because of the spacing, it's really, really a beautiful thing. Check that out, guys. Bring it in nice and tight so you're not getting a lot of lens distortion. If I bring the watch head too close to the camera, you can see sits beautifully. Also, those nice rolled edges have a more refined look. Slightly less retro, of course, but I think definitely a nice update Tropic was a little late to the party on, but I'm glad they finally did arrive at that. So these are just fantastic. I really, really do enjoy them, and I did want to kind of give you guys a chance to see them both paired, because I think this is just absolutely a perfect pairing. Same here. You do get kind of that old school, very classic look, black and steel, all matted finishes. This is just really, so era specific and era correct. Like, I love the way that all of this looks. And then, of course, you have something a little bit more modern, blended in, kind of infused with today's Seiko, which is really known for those beautiful nature-inspired dials. Then you're getting it in a really beautiful colorway combination. I mean, you're getting the silver, you're getting tones of gray, pop of blue. It's just really, really fantastic. And, these are just two very cherished pieces. And it's, although I do have a few watches where I double up somewhere I more than double up, if you look at my Alpinist collection video. But these watches, honestly, they make a case for themselves. And I think that's one of the real beauties of pairing something like this, because you can really individualize these watches and add a lot of character and, just do something different, something fun, apart from just the OEM option. And I have tried these on various straps, and they are real strap monsters, but I do really, really enjoy them on these Tropic straps. They are that comfortable. They're that good. This orange, look how bright and vibrant that is. Definitely, if you're not already following me on Instagram, follow me there to see what I end up pairing this orange strap with. So big thank you again to Tropic for sending that one in as a bit of a bonus. And then, of course, guys, if you're seeing this, hey, expensive strap, kind of expensive watches for Seikos, $1,500, $900 range, at least that's the full MSRP, although you can get Seikos cheaper. Typically, like this one, I was able to get from Belmont Watches for well underneath the actual advertised MSRP. So you can find these deals that are out there. But hey, if you want something a little bit more utilitarian, guys, the original turtle reissue is fantastic, SRPE093. It does have a bit of a lower grade movement, doesn't have the Sprawn hairspring, but you are going to have something that really is just gorgeous, speaks to the era. It is slightly larger, you know, and it does ride the wrist really well. It has all of those hallmarks of what makes Seiko great, and these are still going for quite cheap, and eventually they won't be, guys. Those prices on these and the popularity on these is resurging. These are just kind of becoming the next SKX in terms of once they dry up, they become a lot more in demand, and it's because they are such a simple formula. Hard Lex crystal, you know, matte bezel insert there with the aluminum. But you still have great things like the shielded pip, the great Lumabrite, all that goodness there. Seiko Saturday, as you can see when I'm filming this. So really love this piece. So again, you can get something like this for under 500 bucks, under 400 bucks. You know, probably right around 300. You can find these still. And definitely check with Mark from Long Island Watches. Big shout out to them and their whole team, but you can probably find that there for a really great price. And then you throw it on a Tropic strap, and this thing's timeless. This thing can go on forever. You can wear it, you know, as a daily beater. No need, as much as I love a good G-Shock, no need, because you can actually wear this and, you know, pretty much put it through the ringer, and it's gonna not only be there for you, it's gonna pick up some great wear and really tell a story. So with all that said, let me know what you guys think in the comments below. If you liked the video, please do it like, and if you haven't already, please subscribe for more content just like this. Thanks, guys.